Hello, what's going on, my friend? I have finally completed February, and let me load everything. Oops, 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 oops. Okay, hold up, hold up, hold up, hold up, hold up. Open, 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 open. Okay, I wrote something here. Oh, okay. I need to go to Insta real quick. There you are. Oh, what a nice message. Okay. You're so nice. But okay, I wrote down to check hit the IGs. Maybe maybe I put it here. Let's check. Because I only saw a few things. I can't play the audio messages. Let's see if you wrote something here. Nope. Well, give the follow-up in the current astrology. Okay. Well, I'm just gonna go for it because I can't find shit. Okay, I can't know this stuff. I don't know nothing. right, I got it. I got it. I got it. Okay. Let me turn my camera off. How about that? How about that? All right. So Gemini, Gemini season. Um, well, Gemini sun, moon in Sag, close to Antares, which is a royal star. Um, well, you have your sun and moon in opposite signs, which is cool. And obviously when you're a Gemini in the 11th house, the house of Aquarius, you tend to be very social. Let us just say that. I'm going to talk like this the whole time. You tend to be very social. Um, and when you're a Sagittarius, you know, you're also social, but it's a little bit different. But these are two opposite signs, and to have them as your sun and moon is very interesting. It's interesting because I just did a reading, moments ago of a client who had a Virgo and Pisces, which are also opposites for the sun and moon. I always speak about getting very similar readings back to back from clients, and just another of my countless examples. So, anyways, I digress. So, Sag Moon, Leo 0 degree rising with Venus rising. There is great interest. There is great, great interest in this. These are all masculine planets that are, making things happen here for you. So, if we start just with the axis of Gemini in Sag, right? Of course, I'm a Sag moon, so I know what the fuck that is like. Um, Sag moons, we be like so optimistic. We're fire moon, so we gotta rock, we gotta travel, we gotta explore. We're very optimistic, very philosophical. We're always we have like an emotional need to create meaning out of even really bad life situations. And that's just how we rock. People can be all depressed all they want. Sag moon, it's not that they can't get sad, but we prefer not to. So yeah, I guess like yeah, with a Sag moon, Gemini sun, you're and when the North Node is in Libra, you're trying to come to a cosmic balance. Not to say cosmic balance, but I think I just said that. I feel like I need to get a lawsuit now. But you're supposed to have. I feel like you're here with that North Node, in third house, close to Pluto. Having North Node and Pluto in third house, from Jesse Innocent's viewpoint, is a big, 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 big deal. Why is it a big deal? Well, the North Node and Pluto to me are like, that's what's important, right? That's what's important because the North Node is on a karmic level, the mountain that you're trying to climb that maybe you've had some trouble climbing in past incarnations. And Pluto is more, it's similar, but it's like there's more of a darkness there. It's like the dark hell, your personal dark night of the soul that you have to go through. And when you go through that, and we each have a different Pluto, right? And also if it's aspecting any planets, like the sun or the moon or something like that, it in your case, there's no, major aspects Pluto from inner planets, but yeah, like it's important. So yeah, Pluto and North Node and Pluto on the IC, like me, yay. Well, it sucks, but you see how Pluto is right on your IC? The IC has to do with childhood. And let me see. Yeah. And it's kind of conjunct the North Node, kind of. I mean, the way I would take this is like you have like people have Pluto on the IC, usually like nearly always they've had some level of trauma in their childhood. And if it's not in their childhood, it's from past life with the North Node there in the same house. And people use really large orbs for, meaning like that would actually count. Some people use 15-degree orbs for those. So for like the Pluto for the nodal aspect. But either like there's something messed up in this childhood, or it was just mimicking this past life trauma that you're supposed to get past. So you choose. You choose, you choose, you choose. But the third house, Libra, is about learning to bring balance in diplomacy to communication. And as your South Node is in the ninth house in Aries, it makes me think that there's a lot been there, done that as like the big explorer, right? The big independent person. So in this life, there's more of a direction towards relationship and compromise. So while in past lives, you may have been the type who is very much like, this is my philosophy. This is like, what I'm going with. And that's it, you know? Um, I think like maybe in this lifetime, things are changing a little bit. Like the thing with South Node and Aries is that there, is adventurous and great as it is in so many ways. The difficulty is that it can be a little bit selfish and not willing to make those compromises in relationships. So I'm already sensing a lot of karmic relationship energy in this chart. Now, when we see Venus rising, that adds further clues to this. You feel me? As a 0-degree Leo rising, you with Libra or Venus right on the ascendant, and I have no idea what you look like, but you emanate an attractive auric energy. The Venusian energy rising is the beautiful thing. Um, I think of everything as energy. Um, so when I see that, I'm like, all right, she just has this vibe, that can be very, very like, I don't want to say contagious because I mean that in a good way. Like you just want to be around it if you're someone. I mean, obviously, not everyone's gonna you know, like you or like me or like anyone, but um, yeah, you know what I mean. So that is important stuff. Um, and I think that right off the bat, as you go from Libra or Aries to Libra, there of course there's that warning of like, all right, well, yes, like what is the balance between the two? So to me, one example of that is like, okay, I like let's say it's someone who wants to be in a relationship or whatever the fuck, they could, like they want to be in a relationship, but they don't want to sabotage themselves. Um, they could literally just be the type of people hmm, who find that balance between single life, um, and relationship life somehow, right? Like where you're not codependent is the extreme of Libra. Like, oh, I'm gonna willing to put up with anything that this person does because if I lose them, I'm nothing. That's codependency, right? But the opposite, where you're two Aries, is like, I'm not willing to make any compromise. So, it's just really wanting like a healthy energy in that respect. So when you have a 0 degree Leo rising, it's important to understand that energy, like Leo rising, I'm Leo rising, it's very like at 0 degrees though, it's very much like the Joker card or the not the Joker, the Fool card in tarot. I don't know. I'm not like someone who knows a lot about tarot, but I know about the Fool's card, which it's a lot about trial and error, right? Um, so just understand that like not everything in life is going to come in that way. So that you like your life, a lot of it is about trial and error, and yeah, just having that knowledge is so important. So Pluto in the IC though, like this right here. First of all, if you still live close to where you were born, I would not. I would consider getting an astrocartography reading, unless you're like super happy there. But I mean, everyone I've ever done an astrocartography reading for, who has like a Pluto IC in their chart, they moved, including me. They moved from where they were born, not where they grew up. And the reason is because you're on your Pluto IC line, which is one of the worst lines in astrocartography. It's like tons of internal pressure. But basically, yeah, I told you before, Pluto IC in a natal chart, the people tend to kind of like, have some kind of like usually some kind of trauma growing up. Um, Usually it is some form of trauma. So not always fun. Not always fun. But one of the themes that can really show itself, and it kind of goes with that South Node in Aries. I've seen a lot of, including myself, actually, kind of think of it. I've seen a lot of people who have this, this Pluto on the IC having their South Node in a fire sign, and it kind of goes to show that maybe they, maybe they had enough, like, as like the superstar in a past life, or in recent past lives. Not that they can't be like very successful in this lifetime, but you know, you know how it goes. You know how it goes. So yeah, Pluto I see. Yeah, power versus powerlessness is a theme, and it can just be really, really stressful. When you go back to where you're born, even if you don't have some kind of crazy trauma, it can still just bring stuff up in the energetic body. Ooh, I know I did not turn on my timer at all, did I? Oopsie daisies. Well, I guess we just don't know how long it is. So, yeah, that's why I always suggest, like, at least, yeah, like maybe, like doing that shadow work isn't bad, of course. Shadow work is good, but like, do you really want to live on, an astrocartography line that is literally all about that? Like, I don't know. I'm good on it. Like, whenever I go back to San Francisco, first 2 weeks are fine, and then after like 3 weeks, I'm just like, I gotta get the fuck out of here. So yeah. So I know that you really wanted to, focus on, or not focus, but like I know that like love stuff was important for you. Um, so I think for you, what's really important is understanding that you want to have fun with your partner. Being a Leo rising with Venus on the ascendant, you're someone who is all about fun. You're very, very much someone in, who really lets out that inner child. So to be around someone who, I don't like to like really do compatibility in the sense, of course I do these readings, but like I would never say you can only be with this type of person, because that's not how love works. That's how relationships work. You can, sometimes opposites attract, sometimes it's people who are similar that are better for each other. It just goes all over the place. Exactly, Esme. So, just having like just knowing your north nodes in Libra. Um, I would think that there's a certain level of safety that you would need, right? There's a certain level of safety that you would likely need. Energetic safety, I mean. And then 1 second, sorry. Yeah, so energetic safety, uh, kind of leaning into that, like just fairness in relationships. But like when we break it down to this, right? When we break it down to the Leo part, it's definitely, definitely, definitely related to fun and related to being able to like just be your inner child, be your goofy self. Um, that's what Leo is. It's the forever child. And to have that on your ascendant, it means that you really, really let that out. It's a part of your personality. It's also very creative and very at its best, it's about authentic self-expression, which is linked to like inner child energy, right? Because it's like only when we're unconditioned and just creating from our own essence, as opposed to like what society unconsciously tells us, like this is how you're supposed to create, this is what is good, this is what you're supposed to do. That is that's a big gain. So in love, like the Venus Leos, they want to be very proud of their partners. um they want love to be this like very romantic and very very fun, very adventurous ordeal. um Sometimes they like grand gestures. Like they'll be the type that will like be at an NBA game and like propose there. That's like a very Leo Venus thing. So aside from that, then you got your Mars and Virgo conjunct Saturn. So that is a difficult part because that is a very perfectionist part, but I'm going to go there in a second. Your Juno, which represents your ideal mate. So you have in a very good position on the descendant in Aquarius. So what that means is that you are someone um who also, yeah, like because Leo and Aquarius are opposite signs, so your ideal mate definitely has like a very like unconventional vibe. Um, they're not just like every other human. They got some things that is different. Um, and with that aside, the fact that's in the seventh house is a blessing because it enables you to truly see the best in, different partners you might have, right? Like a lot of people with someone for a while and they just start to see the negative. So when you have that placement, it's kind of the opposite in that sense. Um, you can really, really see the good, the positive, the beauty, whatever you want to call it, in a potential partner or a partner or whatever the fuck. So it's a really, really nice one. So, but yeah, the fact that it's first to seventh, it does go back. There is this part of your chart, like I said, the karmic part, which is like, how do you, at the same time, have relationships that you keep your independence while also not, um, you know, like you keep your independence as you as a human, as a human that is you, as a human, you're a human. Um, but you hear what I'm saying, right? You keep that identity is what I meant to say. You keep that identity as you, but you still are able to like find that balance between like independence and non-codependence, yet still merging, you know? So I think that's kind of the karmic challenge with the energy where it is, with the Aries energy in the South Node. Um, but then you add all the Sag stuff. So when we talk about love, like and just in general, Sag moons, they have an emotional need to travel. Like I said, we're both Sag moons. The emotional need to travel, emotional need to acquire more wisdom, emotional need to you know, learn, continuously learn, and to just create meaning out of their life, right? Um, so relationship wise, Sag moons tend to need a lot of freedom. They need a lot of space. And I think it works well with your Juno. It actually sextiles your Juno in Aquarius. So that could speak to like, the more unconventional relationship type working for you. And yeah, as a fellow Sag moon, what I can say for sure is it's the fifth house, just like mine. We're both Leo rising. And I think that there's a certain level with placements like this of just like sometimes feeling like you sometimes wondering, even if things are good, if you're missing out on like the highest energy of life. That's what one thing I've noticed with a lot of Leo Sages. You add Gemini to that, they can definitely bring that. So, a big lesson is that groundedness and is that just acceptance, right? Now, one thing about the chart that's very interesting is, well, actually, Moon. So, real quick, Moon is conjunct the very psychic, what's a Pallas Vesta, but it's conjunct Neptune, and that's massive. So, when you have your Moon conjunct Neptune, you become someone that even as a Sag moon has like a vibe of Pisces, and uh it definitely makes it so your early experiences with your mother super important, especially because you can definitely have taken on a lot of guilt, shame, negative emotions that were not yours. You become a sponge for energy. It adds like a very Piscean vibe to you, right? um so that's one thing to know about. But overall, like it's also just really important to to just pick your rooms correctly, to pick the people you surround yourself correctly. um when you are a sponge for energy, a sponge for good and bad energy, it's not easy. It's not easy being cheesy. I'm just joking. I don't know why I said that. But yeah, I mean, like moon is the intuition. Neptune is, you know, like moon conjunct Neptune. It's so dreamy, so sensitive, so imaginative. And also another component of it is that it gives this like real unconditional love. So it's really, really good for anything spiritual, right? And extreme sensitivity and so forth. So, you know, the whole idea, and I can't repeat it enough, of the vulnerability of this, is so key. It's very, very easy to fall victim to energy vampires when you have this. So you really do got to watch out. You really do got to watch out because there's a lot of people in this world, even in spirituality. Like I've had the misfortune of coming across, not trying to at all, but like really weird dudes that exist in the spiritual community. Um, Creepy guys, creepy guys that are literally studying astrology just to try to pick up on girls. And it's, to me, the most like, just like, what the fuck, like, shake my head, like, what is wrong? So, you know, not everyone can be perfect, but there's just a lot of weird shit out there. And um, what can you do? What can you do? What can you do? What can you do? So my thing is this, right? When you have this, it's really important to have a safe place with Moon conjunct Neptune, because it's like, yeah, you're a Sag Moon, but you're kind of like a Sag plus Pisces Moon. Your empathy, your compassion, all these strong suits, they're major assets, right? But they're things that you have to invest in. They don't just come. They don't just like, arrive and then they're there. Like, they're things that you have to like literally invest in. Boundaries is so important. And the idea that having any Libra, even though it's just like the North Node and all that, and then any Neptune, that Neptune is the people with Neptune, they can lack the spiritual boundaries, and with Libra they can lack the the actual boundaries. But like the point is this, is that but I'm not really talking about the Libra, you don't really have any personal planets there. But at least with the with the Neptune energy on your moon, there's that big time potential for the big time need for having your alone time. That's all I can say. If you don't get that, especially chosen your relationship, right here, Juno in the 7th house, Aquarius 7th house, like you're not trying to become a clone of your partner. You're trying to really be your own person. So, if you're around, bad vibe people, if you're around too many people too many people at the same time, it's just no good, So it's important to be able to like retreat, to have a place you can retreat to and just see how that is, like, and just see how, not how that is, how the difference is, and that will give you all the answers. All right, so this is super important. Saturn with Mars, that is very good for success. However, there could have been some early real setbacks, like you take 4 steps forward and then 5 steps back, etc. So that's just good to know about. Mars in Virgo with Saturn is one of the biggest potentials for 100 or 0 thinking and perfectionism. So if that's something that you have struggled with at all, like, it's in your chart and there's ways around it. I always tell people, we live in a just do it society where we are expected to, like we're conditioned to just be robots, but we're not. And I think it'd be best for you career-wise to, with your 10th house Chiron, you could definitely be a gifted healer. But I think, having your midheaven with, I definitely see entrepreneurship as a real potential, leadership for sure. But, it's not limited to anything. I'll go back on here. Let me finish. So, and then in terms of skip step, this is really important. Skip karmic steps. You have Sun and Mercury square the nodes, right? So you have this perfectionism already worked in. Now, from a karma perspective, the fact that Mercury is square your south node and north node, that's called a karmic skip step. Now, with Mercury, it relates to something with the thinking, right? From past lives, whether it was like a self-limiting belief, an idea that you're not good enough. It could really be anything, but it's something with how you saw yourself, how you saw the world, right? Interjects, that limits you. And then with the Sun square the nodes, it's like this life becomes like the crucial one for getting past something that you've had difficulty getting past in past life, right? So if the north nodes are pointing to Libra, I think that there's a need for being more socially integrated, more diplomatic in this life. Doesn't mean you have to be like conditioned and all that, but just finding ways to communicate better, um, and not be like a potential loner or someone who just like doesn't get on well with other people. What I just said shows even more by your 11th house sun. You know, you're meant to be really in this community, in a nice community of people. And then there's this very, very psychic energy with Jupiter and Mercury and Cancer in the 12th with Black Moon Lilith, because that's showing how you have this ability, like, this a real ability to have a lot of understanding of your dreams and have spiritual protection and have like the whole area of life that's illuminated, that's dark for everyone else, the occult, esoteric, collective unconscious, blah, 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 blah. Like for you, it makes sense. So you're able to go in these areas, and also you're able to find this inner well of optimism during dark times that brings you up. Now, Cancer 12th house, that's your lowest potential. Black Moon Lilith, it's not a planet, it's just you at your lowest vibe. We all have a placement like that. The fact that it's with Jupiter is interesting, but when I think of Cancer, Black Moon Lilith, I think of fear of fear. It's like a fear of vulnerability. It's like the crab crawling back and escapism. Like that's the idea, like not facing reality. So isolating oneself, especially with that Neptune on the moon, perhaps like if there's times where, things get too tough, who knows? Maybe that happens where it's just like, okay, let's just retreat. And then with Mercury there, I think of that as the ability, which is beautiful. I love when I see this Mercury in the 12th house, because I always think these people have like potential psychic abilities. And if not that, they have the ability to really put words to the like you know the unspoken, the parts of life and of our unconscious that are almost like unable we're almost unable to put words to them, like something that would be in like a book by Rumi or something. um so yeah. Okay, so I think like Pallas and the moon together, they're like less than a degree, pretty much a degree away. This is about like someone who's very, 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 very good at retreating and kind of like being in control of their emotions. So like retreating and making like a real plan before taking any big leaps, any big emotional leaps of faith. So it makes one like a very born strategist. I love that. And then Moon with Vesta, um, I think that Vesta here has to do with like ritual, and work. So this would make someone really have this emotional connection to um I guess to the ritual when it comes to their work, but also to their emotional well-being, and also to work, the work that they love, being very connected to their emotional well-being. And you know, it also would speak to healthy emotional habits, um, loyalty as a human, someone who shows love through their actions. So, and just like overall healthy. And I think Neptune and Vertex to me is interesting because I think it might show how, it's when you're really having fun with that, with spirituality and with that spiritual relationship with yourself, through creativity and inner child, right? Leo energy that you have, that's when, you find your doorway to higher awareness, right? When you're just really, really creating through your intuition and having like you know, a a very, very individualistic creative routine. So, you know, I'm curious if you're someone who um who had divorced parents. I just wonder, and moved around a lot growing up. I don't have that as a sure thing, but I'd be very curious to hear in the follow up. And by the way, at like did I already say it's yours? I can't remember. But if you can, if I mean nearly everyone does, I highly recommend adding the follow up. We already have the follow up, but adding the current astrology, so it's not a long wait. Um, I forget if I already said this to you, but we would do this reading or this follow up the first hour where it's just about the natal chart. That's one type of astrology, and then seamlessly move into every type of current astrology I know. So let me know, and we can schedule it ASAP on my next available time whenever you're ready. So moving forward, yeah, so with the Virgo Mars, I told you about the perfectionism, the 0-100. If I can't get 100, I just let myself go to 0. Virgo Mars, they can really, really be very good. Like that's the kind of person I would want to be my like, someone that works with me. Like if I owned a company, I want them to be like an accountant or something like that. But they can be very, very like the thing about Virgo Mars is like until they get past their own self-criticism, they project that shit super hard externally and it can get really annoying. Um, I've seen that more in men than women, but still, like, yeah. So Ceres in Capricorn, Power Fortune Capricorn in the sixth house, that's literally saying how when you're giving to society in a way of service, but also giving to yourself in a very like your health, your mental health, your physical health, all that. Even animals can be very, very grounding for you. Um, when your loved ones, if you have kids, um, you know, when the whole daily routine runs smoothly, that's something that feels really good for you and you like to kind of give that gift to other people. And sometimes Ceres and Capricorn people can you know not be so good at asking for help but very good at giving it. um and yeah, part of fortune, which is like a very like kind of like a flow state in your chart, like it's a very good position. Sixth house Capricorn, once again, organization and work. It does great things for your daily life. Service equals joy kind of thing. So yeah, just like the little work. In Capricorn, I would say like, when you really build that firm inner kind of, what's the word? Inner strength and commitment to something that you really care about. It's really good, but also like, mastering any emotional securities and really being able to like feel like this is what I'm meant to do for the world. That's like a very big thing. Eris right on the MC is massive. Um, so that's cool. And that just gives like a lot of volcanic power and very entrepreneurial leadership power in your career. And then Chiron, of course, in the 10th house in Taurus. I get a lot of Chiron and Taurus people. So 10th house Chiron, the thing I would see here is that you could literally have a profession as a wounded healer, as a healer. Every healer is wounded. That's how they learn to be healers for other people. But 10th house, sometimes there's like someone, who suffers from feelings of public inadequacy. Maybe something happened early in life, or feeling like Stockholm syndrome, not feeling worth, like that you're worthy of being recognized. And that's like kind of part of the healing. And Taurus, it's like, all about self-esteem, healing the self-esteem. Some people with that, they try to overcompensate by accruing, possessions, gifts, and all that. Um, and sometimes they don't feel like their body is beautiful. So it's like doing things to counter that, Um, affirmation, things like yoga, things that make you feel beautiful, all that kind of stuff. So yeah. And let's pop open this. So you have the asteroid Angel rising and close to your Venus. So, I don't know so much about that angel, that asteroid, but I know that it, on the Venus and on the ascendant, it speaks to an angelic kind of aura and self. Alphard. So you have Antares moon, Alphard Saturn. The Altair. Let's actually pull this up. Okay. Ooh, you got a more on the midheaven. I love to see that so much. You have no idea. Um, and I see it quite a bit with my clients, which I'm very happy about. So, a more on your midheaven. Your midheaven is how you appear to the public, and it has, it speaks to your career, to your dharma, not just career, to your dharma. And guess what? You have a beautiful placement there. You have a more, which is literally representing universal unconditional love for just humanity. So when you have that in your midheaven, of course, there's tons you know, of potentials for different careers one could do, because it does relate to that deep, deep love. Now, besides that, you have quite a few fixed stars from ancient Babylonian astrology related to wealth. You've got Sirius on your Jupiter, and then Betelgeuse is a good one. So let's look at all these stars and let's call it a day. So we can start with Sirius, which is on your Jupiter. Um, I have to look these up, by the way. So some of these definitions I don't accept. Some of them are very old, but it's very hard to find information on these. But I know that Jupiter is it's about money. There's a reason the U.S. chose 4th of July as Serious Day. So business success, journeys, help from relatives. The point develops large family ties to these individuals. It keeps them tied to the family circle, including all the relatives. They're generally born into a large family, and those in the family circle are also interested in the large family themselves. Great emotional ties are developed so that whatever happens to one affects them all, and all respond with exaggerated emotion. I just think like Jupiter expands and Sirius is about money. Which is not just money, but it's a very good star, sign. The Beetlejuice. Hmm. The Beetlejuice is with the sun. Interest in and the ability for occult and mystical subjects. That's interesting. I guess Beetlejuice is kind of an interesting one. In the midheaven, yeah, a more that's so awesome. And it had Eris, so that's that real firepower energy. And then the other one was Altair on the Descendant. What about IC? No, we have that. And Antares. So Antares, one of the only royal star you have. Most people don't have any royal stars. Um, so it says for Moon and Antares, popular, broad-minded, interest in philosophy, science, and metaphysics, liable to change, spiritual opinions, influential friends, great power, honor, wealth, blah 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 blah, and then different definition: domestic dramas and unashamedly temperamental, prone to emotional outbursts, devoted but verging and obsessive with family affairs. Altair on the Descendant. Can we find anything about that? It says a splendid and illustrious life, glorious, mighty, commanding nature, fame, busy with many activities, bountiful resources, prosperity around middle age or through marriage or woman. That's like a very, very, very like common. I think they just write that these old definitions when it's like they're just trying to say like, success. Esmond, what are you doing? Esmond, what the heck? Esmond, why did you pee on the beanbag? Esmond, bad Esmond, bad Esmond. Why did you do that? Sorry, I have a little emergency here. My cat just peed on a beanbag that she's ruined. Bad Esmond. Um, But yeah, overall, very interesting reading. So shoot me a message and you know, I'll give you a discount for that. Sorry. I'll give you a big discount for the current astrology if you want to add that. If you want to just stick to the just the follow up, that's totally cool too. But nearly everyone gets the nearly everyone gets the current astro as well because it's just like we go over progressions, we go over obviously transits, we go over solar return. Like a lot of, if you go to like an astrologer, like I'm not gonna say any names, pretty much everyone that charges way more than me, than me. Um, they just do one reading. I do reading, follow up, current. But yeah, like basically, like people like that. Sorry, I don't know the fuck I'm talking right now. I literally was just like dream talking. That was fucking awesome. Oh yeah, I remember. Yeah, like a lot of people like astrologers that suck, they will literally charge the same, they'll charge like a new price, like it'll be like $300 or something for like, what my reading offers, my current astrology reading offers all in one. So they'll give like a different, they'll be like, okay, one reading for the solar return, one reading for the progress chart, one reading for the solar arc, house ingress, blah 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 blah. It's like, okay, well, now the person spent all their money and they have no money left for their kids. They're gonna die. I'm just joking, but you get the point. You get the point. All right. Well, am I there? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed, and I will talk to you later. Ciao.